Hello, little dreamers. Welcome back to Dream Desk Bedtime Stories. Tonight, we are going back to Lumi's Lucky Shop, the little magical shop in the middle of the city. The candles are glowing softly. The shelves are full of little charms and warm lights. Beast is watching by the window. Lion is curled up somewhere soft and cozy. And tonight, a child will come into the shop with a heart that feels heavy. Not because of rain, not because of the dark, but because of something that can feel very big inside a small heart. A fight with a friend. So snuggle into your blanket, take a slow, soft breath in, and let's begin. It was a bright afternoon in the city. The rain from the day before was gone. The sky above the rooftops was pale blue, with long white clouds stretching slowly across it. Sunlight warmed the shop window and made the little glass bottles shine in rows of gold, pink, and silver. Inside Lumi's Lucky Shop, everything looked especially cheerful. A bowl of polished lucky stones sparkled on the counter. Tiny paper moons turned gently in the breeze from the window. A soft yellow candle glowed near the door, and the air smelled like vanilla tea and orange peel. Beast was stretched along the windowsill, pretending to be lazy, but watching every single thing on the street with sharp, dark eyes. Lion was asleep in a basket on top of a folded blanket, though one ear flicked every now and then, just to show he still knew what was happening. Lumi was standing on a little stool, trying to hang a new string of silver stars near the back shelf. She tilted her head to one side, then the other. "A little lower?" she asked aloud. Beast blinked from the window as if to say, "Yes, obviously." "A little higher?" Lumi asked. Lion opened one eye for exactly 1 second, then went back to sleep. Lumi laughed softly. "That is not very helpful." She climbed down from the stool, adjusted the silver stars, and stepped back to look. They shimmered beautifully now, catching the sunlight and sending tiny glints across the wall. "Perfect," Lumi said. Just then, the bell over the shop door gave a gentle ring. Ting. Lumi turned. A boy stood in the doorway. He looked about 7 years old. He wore a green jumper, one shoelace untied, and a backpack that seemed to be hanging from only one shoulder because he had not bothered to fix it properly. His brown hair was messy, as if he had pushed both hands through it many times. But the first thing Lumi noticed was his face. His eyebrows were pulled together. His mouth was turned down. And his eyes. His eyes had that shiny, careful look children get when they are trying very hard not to cry. "Hello," Lumi said softly. The boy nodded, but he did not say hello back. He stepped inside. The bell rang again behind him. Ting! Beast lifted his head at once. Lion raised his face from the basket and blinked sleepily. The boy looked around the shop, but not with wonder, the way many children did. He looked around as if he was trying not to think, as if he had come inside because he needed to be somewhere that wasn't where he had just been. Lumi knew that feeling too. "Would you like to sit?" she asked gently. The boy shrugged. "That usually meant yes, but I don't know how to say yes right now." So Lumi pointed to the little chair by the window. He sat down heavily, dropped his backpack beside him, and crossed his arms. Beast jumped lightly from the windowsill and sat on the floor nearby, close enough to keep watch. Lion climbed out of the basket, stretched his tiny golden paws one by one, and padded toward the boy. The boy looked down. Lion rubbed against his leg. The boy did not smile, but one of his arms uncrossed a little. That was a start. Lumi came around the counter carrying a small cup of warm apple cinnamon tea. "It's not too hot," she said, "and it smells like calm." The boy looked suspicious for a moment, then took the cup. He sniffed it. His shoulders dropped just the tiniest bit. "Thanks," he muttered. Lumi sat on the stool across from him. For a moment, she said nothing. Sometimes, if you asked too quickly, the words hid deeper. Instead, she glanced out the window and said lightly, "The sky looks very bright today, but you look like you're carrying a cloudy sort of afternoon." The boy looked up. It was such a strange thing to say that it made him blink. Then, before he could stop himself, he said, "I had a fight." Lumi nodded once. "A big one or a little one that feels big?" The boy frowned in thought. Then he said, "A little one that turned big?" Lumi understood exactly. "Ah," she said softly, "those can feel especially heavy." The boy stared into his tea. "I'm not supposed to be here long," he said. "My dad is at the shop next door." Lumi nodded. "That's all right. Sometimes one little moment is enough to help a heart breathe again." The boy held the cup with both hands. For a while, he did not say anything more. Then finally, he blurted out, "My best friend said I'm mean." Lumi stayed very still. Best friend. That made it different. Not just a classmate. Not just someone from the playground. A best friend. That kind of hurt settled deeper. "Oh," Lumi said quietly. The boy swallowed. "And I said he was bossy and annoying, and I said I didn't want to play with him anymore." The last part came out quickly, like he wanted to get it over with. Lion sat down directly on top of the boy's shoe. The boy looked down, and though he still didn't smile, he rested his hand lightly on Lion's back. The little cat began to purr. Lumi folded her hands in her lap. "What happened before those words?" she asked gently. The boy sighed. "We were building a castle. A toy castle with blocks he said. A really big one. The biggest one we ever made. Lumi nodded. She could almost picture it already. Tall towers, a gate, carefully stacked walls. Perhaps a dragon if they were feeling dramatic. And I wanted the red flags on the towers. And your friend? He said blue looked better. Lumi blinked. Ah. The boy gave a frustrated little shrug. But that's not all, he said quickly. He kept moving my pieces. Your block pieces? Yes. I made the front gate, and then he changed it. And then I made a tower, and he said it was too short. And then he moved the dragon. Lumi nodded slowly. So you felt like he wasn't letting your ideas stay. The boy looked up sharply. Yes. Lumi could see from his face that he had felt very understood by that sentence. That can feel very frustrating, she said. It was, he muttered. And then when I said stop, he said I was making the castle look silly. Lumi's eyes softened. Ouch. The boy gave a tiny nod. Yes. And then I knocked over the tower. Lumi was quiet. On purpose, she asked. The boy looked ashamed. A little bit on purpose. That answer was so honest that Lumi almost smiled, but she kept her face soft instead. And then your friend got upset. He yelled at me. What did he say? The boy twisted the cup in his hands. He said, You always ruin things when you don't get your way. Lumi let that settle in the air between them. That kind of sentence hurt because it was not just about the tower. It was about who someone thought you were. The boy whispered. Then I said he was bossy and annoying and that I didn't want to play with him ever again. Lion's purring filled the quiet for a moment. Beast had moved a little closer now, sitting with his tail wrapped around his paws like a furry guard beside a difficult feeling. Lumi asked, When you said that, did you mean it? The boy answered at once, No. Then his face crumpled just a little. But I said it. Lumi nodded. Yes, she said gently. Sometimes we say sharp things when our hearts feel bumped and bruised. The boy stared down at his tea. I don't know if he'll still be my friend. That was the true fear. Not the tower, not the red flags, not even the mean words, the fear underneath all of it. What if I broke something important? Lumi stood up slowly and walked to one of the shelves. On the second shelf from the top sat several little boxes, each one tied with a different ribbon. She looked over them for a moment, then chose a pale blue box with a silver thread. When she came back, the boy looked at it immediately. What's that? Lumi sat again and placed the box on the little table between them. This, she said, is a listening box. The boy frowned. A listening box? Lumi nodded. It doesn't make people listen by force. Magic should not do that, but it helps someone remember how. How do you use it? Lumi opened the little box. Inside lay 3 tiny things. A smooth sky blue stone, a folded paper heart, and a silver string tied in a loose loop. The boy leaned closer. What do they do? Lumi picked up the blue stone first. This is the pause stone, she said. You hold it when your words are rushing too fast. It reminds you to stop for one breath before speaking. Then she held up the silver loop. This is the listening loop. Not real for wearing, just for remembering. It means I will listen all the way to the end before I decide what I think. Finally, she lifted the folded paper heart. And this, she said, opening it carefully, is the remembering heart. Inside, written in tiny golden letters, were the words, "My friend is more important than winning." The boy read it silently. Then he read it again. Something changed in his face. Not all at once, but enough. He looked up at Lumi and asked, in a very small voice, "Can I really fix it?" Lumi thought carefully before answering. "You may not be able to fix it in 1 second," she said. "But you can begin." The boy looked at the blue stone again. What if he's still mad? He may be, Lumi said honestly. The boy's shoulders drooped. But, Lumi continued, someone can be mad and still care. Someone can be hurt and still want to be your friend. Sometimes 2 hearts need a little time to untangle. The boy let out a breath he seemed to have been holding since he entered the shop. I don't like untangling. Lumi smiled a little. Most people don't. That finally made the very smallest smile tug at his mouth. Lumi leaned forward a little. What is your friend's name? Eli, the boy said. And your name? Sam. Lumi repeated them softly. Sam and Eli. Then she asked, before today, what was the nicest thing you and Eli did together? Sam answered almost immediately. We made a spaceship from cardboard boxes. Lumi smiled. What happened in the spaceship? We had buttons made from jam jar lids, and Lion would have liked it because we made a sleeping pod. At that, he glanced down at Lion and almost smiled again. And Beast? Lumi asked. Sam looked over at the dark cat. Beast could be the space guard. Beast blinked in a way that suggested he approved of this role greatly. And was the spaceship fun? Lumi asked. It was the best, Sam said. There it was. The memory of the friendship before the hurt. That mattered. Lumi nodded slowly. Then today is not the whole story of your friendship. Sam looked at her. Sometimes, Lumi said, one bad moment tries to grow very big and stand in front of all the good ones. But that does not mean the good ones are gone. Sam was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "What do I say?" Lumi considered this. Many children, and many grown-ups too, thought the hardest part was feeling sorry. But often the hardest part was saying the sorry in a true way. Not just a quick sorry tossed like a pebble. A real one. A careful one. The first thing, Lumi said, is to tell the true part. The true part? She nodded. Not the part that makes you look best. The part that is true. Sam thought. Then he said slowly, "I was upset when Eli kept changing my blocks." "That sounds true," Lumi said, "and I knocked over the tower." "Yes. And I said something I didn't mean." Lumi nodded. "That also sounds true." Sam looked uncertain. "Do I say all of that?" "You can," said Lumi. "And then you can add one more important thing." "What?" "That you miss your friend." Sam stared at her. His eyes widened a little, like this part felt almost too tender to say. "I do," he whispered. "I thought so." Sam looked down at the paper heart again. "My friend is more important than winning." Lion stretched, then climbed onto Sam's lap without asking permission at all. Sam automatically put a hand on his soft golden back. "I wish," Sam said after a while, "that I didn't get angry so fast." Lumi nodded thoughtfully. "Anger is not always bad," she said. Sam looked surprised. "It isn't?" "No," Lumi said. "Anger often shows us something matters to us, but sharp anger needs somewhere safe to go before it turns into sharp words." Sam thought this over. "Where do I put it?" Lumi smiled and stood up again. This time, she walked to a lower shelf and returned with a tiny cloth pouch tied in orange thread. "This is a rumble pouch," she said. Sam stared. "A what?" "A rumble pouch for pocket-sized angry feelings." He looked doubtful. "Really? Really?" She opened it. Inside was a little orange bead, a folded square of paper, and a tiny pinch of lavender wrapped in cloth. "The bead is for squeezing," Lumi explained. "The paper is for drawing your storm if you can't say it yet, and the lavender is for smelling after the storm begins to pass." Sam leaned closer. "That's for angry feelings?" "For bumped up, hot-faced, stompy feelings," Lumi said. He nodded very seriously. "That kind?" "Yes," said Lumi. "That kind." Sam held the orange bead in his hand. It was smooth and cool. "I think I need this." "I think so too," Lumi said gently. He looked worried suddenly. "I don't have much money." Lumi glanced at his backpack, his untied shoelace, his careful face. Then she said, today, I think you can pay in a different way. How? With one brave action. Sam blinked. What brave action? Lumi folded the paper heart carefully and placed it back in the listening box. Then she put the pause stone and the silver loop inside. She closed the lid and tied it with the silver thread. Next, she placed the rumble pouch beside it and tied them both together with a green ribbon. Then she handed the bundle to Sam. "Your brave action," she said, "is to speak to Eli before the sun goes down tomorrow." Sam's face changed at once. Fear. That soon? Lumi nodded. Before the hurt grows bigger. Sam swallowed. What if I can't? Lumi's voice became extra soft. You can feel scared and still be brave. Sam looked at the gift in his hands. What if he says he doesn't want to talk to me? Lumi answered honestly. Then you say your true words anyway. Kind words do not become wasted just because they are hard to hear at first. Sam thought about this. Beast rose quietly, walked over, and rested one paw on Sam's backpack. Sam looked at him. I think Beast is telling you, Lumi said, that brave things are easier when you stand still inside yourself first. Sam actually smiled then. A small one, but real. He does look like he knows things. He definitely thinks he does, Lumi replied. Sam let out a tiny huff of laughter. It felt good in the room, like a window opening. Lumi picked up a little card and a pencil from the counter. There is one more thing that might help. She handed them to Sam. Would you like to write something for Eli? Sometimes words are easier when they start on paper. Sam held the pencil awkwardly for a moment. Then he bent over the card. Lumi did not look at first. She gave him privacy. The shop grew very quiet. Only the candle flickered. Only the street sounds drifted in softly through the window. Only lion purred and beast watched. After a while, Sam looked up. I wrote it. Would you like me to read it? Lumi asked. Sam nodded and handed her the card. In messy, careful letters it said, Eli, I was really mad. I'm sorry I knocked the tower and said mean things. I did not mean I don't want to play with you. I miss being friends. From Sam. Lumi read it once, then again. When she looked up, her eyes were warm. Sam, she said softly, that is a very strong and gentle note. He looked embarrassed. You really think so? I do. Sam let out a long breath. Lumi handed the card back. You may give it to him if the words feel stuck in your mouth. Sam slid it carefully into the top pocket of his backpack. Then he stood, bundle in hand, tea finished, shoelace still untied. He looked different now, still sad, still nervous, but not swallowed by it anymore. He looked like a boy carrying a hard thing he might actually be able to do. At the door, he stopped. Lumi? Yes? What if we fix it, but then we fight again one day? Lumi smiled gently. Then you will untangle again. Sam frowned. Again? Yes, Lumi said. Friendship does not mean never bumping into each other. It means caring enough to come back, speak kindly, and try again. Sam thought about that. Then he nodded slowly. I think I understand a little. A little understanding is a very good beginning. Sam adjusted his backpack. Then, after a pause, he asked, Can I come back and tell you what happens? Lumi's face brightened. I would like that very much. Sam nodded. Then he opened the door. The bell rang. Ting. He stepped out into the bright afternoon. Lumi stood by the window and watched him go down the street, one hand gripping the little green ribbon bundle in his pocket as if it were something important. Which, of course, it was. The rest of the afternoon passed gently. A woman came in for a sleepy candle. A grandfather bought a lucky clover charm for his granddaughter's dance recital. A little girl with braids pressed her hands to the window to wave at Lion. But every now and then, Lumi found herself glancing toward the street, wondering about Sam and Eli. Would Sam find him? Would the words come out? Would the note help? Would two small hearts begin to untangle? That evening, just before the shop was meant to close, the bell rang again. Ting. Lumi looked up quickly. It was Sam. His cheeks were pink from running. One shoelace was still untied. His hair was even messier than before. But his face was completely different. He was smiling, not a tiny, careful smile. A big one, the kind that lights up the whole face. He talked to me, Sam blurted before the door had even shut. Lumi's hand flew to her chest in delighted surprise. He did? Sam nodded fast. I found him near the swings. At first, I got scared and almost didn't go over. But then I held the pause stone in my pocket, and I walked over. Lumi listened closely. And I said, Eli, I have something to tell you. Sam took a breath. And then I said the true part. Lumi smiled. The true part. Sam nodded. I said I got really upset when he kept changing my blocks. And I said I was sorry I knocked the tower and said mean stuff. And then he grinned suddenly. Then I forgot the next words, so I gave him the card. Lumi laughed softly. That was very wise. Sam grinned wider. He read it. And then he looked mad for 1 second. I thought maybe it didn't work. Lumi's eyes softened with understanding. That must have felt scary. It did, Sam said. But then he said he was sorry too. Oh, Lumi whispered warmly. Sam nodded, excitement rushing out of him in happy little bursts. He said he shouldn't have called me someone who ruins things, and he said he kept changing the blocks because he thought the castle looked amazing and wanted to help, but he got too bossy. Lumi smiled. That sounds like true words from him too. Sam nodded. And then we built the castle again. You did? Yes, only this time. Sam's eyes shone. One tower had a red flag, and one tower had a blue flag. Lumi laughed, delighted. That sounds perfect. And the dragon got to stay where I put it. That also sounds perfect. Sam reached into his pocket and pulled out the little silver thread box. The pause stone helped. He touched the rumble pouch next. And I squeezed the bead before I went over. Lumi nodded proudly. That was very brave. Sam suddenly looked shy. Eli asked where I got them. Lumi smiled. And what did you say? I said there's a gentle magic shop with 2 cats and a witch who helps untangle hearts. At this exact moment, as if the timing had been planned, Beast hopped onto the counter and sat with great dignity. Lion wandered sleepily around the corner and bumped into Sam's leg. Sam laughed. I think Lion remembers me. Lion remembers everyone who gives good lap energy, Lumi said. Sam knelt to cuddle Lion for a moment. Then he stood up and looked at Lumi. Thank you. Lumi shook her head softly. You did the brave part. Sam thought for a second. Maybe, he said. But you helped me know which brave part to do. That was such a careful thing to say that Lumi felt her heart glow inside her chest. Then I am very glad, she said. Sam reached into his backpack again. This is for you. He held out a small paper bag. Inside were 2 round butter biscuits, slightly crumbly and dusted with sugar. My dad gave them to me from next door, Sam explained. He said to say, thanks for cheering me up. Lumi smiled. Please tell your dad thank you. Sam nodded. Then he paused at the door. Lumi? Yes? If Eli and I make a spaceship again, can Beast still be the space guard? Beast blinked from the counter like this was the most sensible question anyone had ever asked. Lumi put a hand to her chin thoughtfully. I believe he would accept the role. Sam laughed. And Lion? Chief Sleeping Captain. Sam grinned. That fits. Then he waved and left, much lighter than he had come in. The bell gave one last happy ring behind him. Ting. Later that night, after the shop was closed and the candles burned low, Lumi sat upstairs by the round window. Beast was curled beside her feet. Lion was asleep in her lap, paws tucked in, whiskers twitching with dream thoughts. Lumi looked out over the city rooftops, glowing under the evening sky. Somewhere below, 2 friends were probably finishing a castle with different colored flags. Maybe they were arguing a little still about where the dragon should go. Maybe they were laughing too. that was all right. Friendship did not need to be perfect to be real. It only needed care, courage, listening, returning. Lumi looked down at Lion's sleepy face, then over at Beast, who was half asleep but still trying to look on duty. She smiled and whispered into the quiet room, for hearts that get bumped, for words that come out too sharp, for friends who find their way back. Outside, the city answered softly. A bicycle bell in the distance, a door closing below, a breeze touching the sign of Lumi's Lucky Shop. And inside the little room above the shop, everything felt warm and whole. And now, the little shop grows quiet once more. The night feels soft and full of tiny, glowing lights. Something small happened tonight, so small that some might not even notice. But Lumi knows, sometimes the smallest moments can become the biggest magic. The visitor has gone home, carrying a tiny light inside their heart. A light that says, maybe things will be okay. Lumi gently closes the shop for the night, her lantern glowing softly in her hand. The two little cats curl up nearby, their quiet purring filling the room with warmth. Everything feels peaceful, safe, and full of hope. You did so well just by listening today. Now it's time to rest. Let your body relax, soft and warm. Take a slow breath in and slowly breathe out. Remember, even the smallest light can shine in the darkest night. Even a tiny step can take you somewhere new. And just like tonight, a little hope can grow into something beautiful. Good night, sweet dreams, and I'll see you again in the next story.